Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you for joining in. I welcome you all to our talk show, India Factoring, one stop solution for your global aspirations. Please do mention from where you are joining in. The purpose of this call is to make and familiarize the MSME businesses, exporters about the awareness of factoring and how it can help exporters, especially in the MSME and SME sector, to benefit from factoring and to address their working capital needs and their requirements. Uh, Before we proceed ahead, I would like to tell you about the about India Factoring. So, India Factoring Finance Solutions Private Limited is a financial services company. It is specializing in working capital solutions through factoring product. The aim here is to convert receivables into cash. The company is a wholly owned subsidiary of a European bank, which is Fimbank PLC, Malta, and it's registered as an NBFC factor with Reserve Bank of India. India Factoring also has a Category 3 AD license, and we have been in business for quite some time, which is more than a decade in India, and we've been in business for more than 5 years handling export factoring business. We have been number one factors for last 3 consecutive years as per the on the basis of the turnover as per the FCI data which has been published. At India Factoring, we provide the factoring services to our customers as an end-to-end solution to meet their working capital requirements. So today we are having our guest who is a seasoned banker, and he has been in the business of he has been in banking banking business. He is a knowledge leader. He is an MBA and CFA professional. He has over 20 years of banking experience in the area of trade finance and foreign exchange, and he has been very actively participating into various discussions, seminars. He has been giving his time for lectures in premier business institutions, especially those management institutions. So please welcome Abhijit Angane. He is the relationship head West Region for India Factoring, Senior Vice President. Uh,
Hi,
Abhijit,
hi, Vinod. Thank you. Thank
pleasure.
you very much.
Welcome to the talk show, and definitely your inputs, your experience is going to help our customers and the exporter community at large, and the businesses in the MSME and SME sector to get more advantage and benefits from what we share with everyone. So, before spending much time, let me just start with my first question to you.
Thanks, Vinod, for such a warm introduction. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Abhijit, as you may be knowing that uh, the existing customers from the banking industry, especially MSME and SME businesses, having had some challenges in terms of accessing the banking finance. So, my first question goes to you is that how can exporters make factoring as an alternative to traditional banking finance, especially in area of exports?
Sure, Vinod. So exports are going to be the key way forward. As we all know, government is aspiring to become a 5 trillion Indian economy very soon, and we all know they are targeting around about $400 billion merchandise exports, which is a large number itself. So of course, there's a high potential, or rather the need right now which arises for exports to grow from here, because we cannot just persist on this traditional banking finance. See, most important, if you look at it, the difference between the traditional working capital finance and the factoring here is the collateral. The first thing which bank ask is, if somebody is asking for a 15 crore loan, they will immediately ask if you can offer us 15 crore collaterals, and that becomes a huge hindrance. So I can share one a live case study here. One of our customers based out of Maharashtra, uh, after the buyer for last almost 2 3 years that for that contract, and finally they won the contract of almost a small contract to begin with from the US based buyer, and he approached the PSU banks, and banker happened to be a PSU bank, and they said that we got a contract now, we need a limit. The first question with which their banker have asked is what kind of collateral you can offer. And this is the client who has approached India Factoring, and we given them unsecured lines, post-shipment factoring lines of almost 12 crores to begin with. And after satisfactory execution of that contract, customer got a contract of 180 crores. Within 9 months, we have offered them a line of 50 crores, and that is what is expected from the bankers now. I think if we need to grow at such rampant pace, see, बोलने से 5 trillion economy नहीं बनेगी. I think we have to also focus on execution. So the biggest difference about the traditional banking finance, as I say, will be a collateral back finance, traditional banking finance. Factoring is definitely without collateral. Traditional banking finance is 100% with recourse. However, the without recourse factoring facility what we provide is 100% without recourse. That's a huge difference, which means the loan will not appear on the balance sheet. It will be off balance sheet structure. And if any SMEs or mid corporate aspiring to become a listed entity or would like to rope in such kind of private equities, I'm sure such kind of offering will always benefit, because this would deleverage their balance sheet and would definitely improvise their credit ratings as well. See, another the difference which I always feel that the banks will be always assessing the customer's balance sheet, and basis which they will confirm whether the limit would be given or not given. But here in factoring, we would be assessing the buyer's credit worthiness, and the overall limits will be definitely on the future order. So that's a massive difference between the traditional banking finance and the factoring. And I'm sure going forward, if we are aspiring to become such kind of 5 trillion economy and aspiring for 400 billion exports, such kind of structured solutions is the need of the hour right now, Vinod.
Rightly said, Abhijit. Yes, the exporters, especially in the segments of MSME and SME, really have the challenge of collateral and providing security to the lenders. However, with factoring, we have a facility whereby more emphasis on the buyer and how good is their buyer and the experience, and basis which they are able to get the finance. I'm sure it has great future in India when it comes to factoring as a working capital solution. Great. So we'll just move, which is a very related question, and I'm just saying that SME growth is crucial for overall economic growth. So, how can factoring services help SME grow their businesses, and especially the factoring companies or leaders like in the field, like India Factoring, how they can provide that kind of support to the SMEs to grow their business, to help ultimately grow the economy to the aspirations where that we are looking for.
Very good question, Vinod. So yes, indeed, SMEs play a very, very vital role for the overall economic growth. You'll be surprised that China having an economy size of almost $14 trillion, and you'll be surprised that 60% contribution is from SMEs. And today we are having somewhere around the economy size of $2.9 trillion. But unfortunately, the SME contribution is merely not even 40%. Many of us may not be aware that SMEs contribute around about 12 crores of employment across pan India. So imagine the SMEs are actually a backbone for economic growth. So there, the as far as India Factoring is concerned, of course, our solutions would definitely would benefit SMEs. The first and foremost, what I already said, that we don't insist for any kind of collaterals, and SMEs of course grapple around collaterals because they are not they won't be having such kind of adequate collaterals. Well, I heard in one of those seminar at World Trade Center, there the shortfall of working capital finance for SMEs is roughly around 1 trillion INR. So that's such a huge gap between demand and supply. So I believe that such kind of factoring proposition, which is without collateral, it would always help SMEs. Undoubtedly, yes. One of the biggest benefit is the buyer default risk is covered basis the insurance. See, I can tell you one live case here. We are having one case, one client based out of MP, and he's exporting it to Europe. The SME client here. So I can say that this customer was exporting to a large buyer having a net worth more than $1 billion. He never ever anticipated there would be a default. But the irony is, the same buyer based out of Europe has invested into some of those hotel chain. Okay, knowingly, unknowingly, of course, ever since in the month of Jan 2020, they invested into hotel chain. Eventually, in the month of February, March, the COVID pandemic situation arise, and the parent company started infusing capital slowly and steadily. One fine day, it started diversifying all these funds, and the parent company itself defaulted. Now imagine a company having a turnover of 250 300 crores, and there is a default of more than a billion dollars. Is straight away the erosion of capital and reserves and surplus for a small company, and the bounce back will be next to impossible. So the factoring facility will definitely cover the default risk, which is the most important aspect for SMEs. Which will cover the default of from a buyer, financial distress from a buyer. The real-time advisory will be also given on the buyer. That's a very important and crucial thing. What the SMEs, because SME don't have expertise to understand the buyer health from a credit risk perspective. The collection services are also equally important because most of the SMEs exporting it to China, exporting it to US, Europe, and there is a language barrier also. There is a uh, time frame
Yeah,
barriers
yeah.
also.
Time zone differences are also
Time
there.
frame difference is also there. So
Absolutely.
that collection services will be also offered by. It's a one-stop solution, what I can say, which can be given
Correct,
to the
correct. I
SMEs.
do. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
Please.
so these are the huge benefits for SMEs. And many a times I see that SMEs buy a down payment exactly on the same due date, and bank charge them a lot of hidden charges like overdue charges. But in terms of export factoring, what we are offering to SMEs, there are no overdue charges also. So these are all the specific structure solutions what we can offer it to SME clients.
Yeah, Abhijit rightly said. I think the global network of import factors that give us edge, not only in terms of the cover that they get, also their localized present helps their understand the market and the communication between the buyers. So that gives a lot of visibility on the portfolio as well as on the payment pattern, and any information that is required that would be useful, that will be easily available. Great. Thanks for this insight. And this is one more thing is there now. SMEs, they and clients into this particular segment of business, they also enter into export kind of a transaction. So I just wanted to understand how is factoring, or in what manner factoring can help the SMEs, MSMEs, and in these areas to have exposure in foreign exchange and any risk arising from foreign exchange mitigated by them.
Yeah, so I think foreign exchange risk is also extremely important because the FX market is extremely volatile, especially in last 1 month ever since the dovish statement from Jerome Powell from Feds about regarding unwinding of US stimulus packages. INR has actually appreciated by almost 2%. I think second you know best currency, performing currency in the Asia itself. So the 2% INR appreciation is as good as 2% reduction in their profits. They are that 2% profitability is eroded. So definitely yes, I think which we are seeing it last month itself, the investment of almost $3 billion by FPI, or almost 1.7 $1.85 in debt market, and almost $1.1 billion in equity market. So such kind of investment we are already witness, huge momentum in the stock market in last 1 month itself, and of course FDI flows all time high. So that is creating impact on USD INR, and the market is really volatile. Rupees appreciating in last month itself 2%. So the solution what we offer to the SMEs is the FCY to mitigate such kind of risk, to that FCY factoring facility. So we can offer the funding in FCY itself of the receivable currencies, so that there will be a natural hedge for the exporter. And I found in my experience of last 2 decades that many exporters, more than I think many exporters, especially SME side, they don't hedge their exposure. So they take this FX volatility very very lightly. And for such exporters, I think such natural hedge kind of structures like offered by India Factoring the FCY export factoring proposition will always helpful, and that the FX risk can be always mitigated. Vinod.
Great. I think this is something which the funding, which is purchasing of receivables in the currency of invoice, currency of transaction, definitely helps mitigate the risk on FX, and it's a natural hedge. Great, Abhijit. So, what I'm just going to be putting you a next question is, now since we India Factoring are authorized dealers, and definitely as an authorized dealer, we are able to provide the end-to-end services to our exporter customer. Can you just elaborate how India Factoring as an AD Category 3 license holder gives and helps the exporter end-to-end in their export business?
Yeah, it's a huge USP for India Factoring that we are having. We are one of those very few entities having this 83 license. That enables us to give us the holistic proposition, rather the holistic solution to all the exporter clients. Because nobody will come only for the funding purposes. Because there is a lodgement is also required, and that lodgement, to enable this lodgement, 83 license will be also required. And that because of this 83 license, we play a role of AD. We can lodge the export documents, we can manage the transaction end to end, and we can issue the EBRCs. And basis that EBRCs, exporters can avail IMEI benefits. And that's what it is, which makes it not only the funding proposition, off balance sheet proposition, unsecured proposition, but also the end to end solution as a AD bank. So I don't only look at the starting point of it, but I also ensure that I conclude the entire transaction, the entire flow of a transaction.
Absolutely.
And that is what it makes a huge difference of offering from India Factoring itself. And I'm sure all the exporters will definitely appreciate such kind of unique solution and unique proposition from India Factoring.
Yeah, definitely. I think this AD Category 3 license is giving India Factoring an advantage to start and transaction with complete oversight on every aspect of transaction from regulatory aspect also. Great. Abhijit, thanks. I think this has been great insight on this topic as well. Abhijit, I would like to draw your attention on the recently passing of the Factoring Amendment Bill 2020, with the both houses of Parliament have passed it. Now, having this bill been passed, now what are the significant changes, and how they are going to help the factoring and the customers who want to avail factoring services or receivable services which come under its purview? I just want your views on this, please.
I think very important question, Vinod. I think this is going to be a paradigm shift, which was solicited long back. There was a need of amending your Factoring Regulation Act 2011, but finally something is visible, which I can see. The first thing what I could make out in this, the changes what in the Factoring Regulation Act 2011, they amended the definitions. They amended the definitions like factoring, receivables, assignments, factoring business. So their intention is to bring it in line with in international territory. So I think that is the most important requirement, that our definition should be in line with international definitions. So that is one thing what has happened by amending your Factoring Regulation Act 2011. Another thing what I can make out is there's an amendment of Section 3, okay, and of the Factoring Regulation Act 2011, that enables more NBFCs to venture into factoring business. Earlier, the law was quite rigid law. That was that was allowing only factoring companies having a principal business. Okay, having a principal business of factoring were allowed, which means more than 50% of their factoring portfolio or the income should come from the factoring business. Then only they were allowed to participate into factoring transactions. But now they amended this kind of condition also. So which means more factoring companies. I think we are already witnessing many MNCs are eyeing this market, which is the fastest growing market in the world, because we are witnessing just recently witnessed 20.3% the Q on Q YY growth in the GDP itself. So which means there's a high probability of this market to grow. And so I'm sure such amendments from the regulator itself will always help. In fact, such regulations now allowing many NBFCs to participate on the trades platform also. So we are very happy that this competition is evolving, because we always believe that the awareness was missing about the factoring, because end of the day we have to compete with such kind of countries. We have to have a innovative finance, and I think without a regulator support, it won't be feasible at all. So I'm glad that finally regulator support is coming down,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the new
Yeah,
environment is available for all of us.
yeah, government has been trying to get this bill cleared, and finally it is out now. And there is a lot of emphasis on technology also, which will definitely give it more edge and the speed that we are looking forward to in terms of this business. uh, Finally, I think, Abhijit, what I would be very interested and keen to know is that what is future of factoring, and where do we see this reach in near future? And there being a lot of impetus from government of India to increase this factoring and receivable services business, and technology in the market is making it more and more efficient and fast. So your views on what is the future of factoring, and where we want to see this in next, say, if we have to put a timeline in next 5 years.
Sure, Virod. I think very interesting question. Now, when I say that economy is growing at a rate of 20.1% YOY growth, what we witnessed in last quarter, and aspiring to become a 5 trillion economy, and of course we are witnessing V-shaped bounce back also. We are also witnessing vaccination in full swing, and that is also creating impact on the overall business resumptions. I think we are also witness a growth in private consumption, construction activities, manufacturing activities, tremendous growth and tremendous growth potential here onwards. Undoubtedly, V-shaped recovery, and undoubtedly there is going to be a double-digit growth for sure. But now the need of the hour is the innovative finance. The need of the hour is the innovative unsecured finance like factoring. But if I the irony is, if I look at it today as on date, the factoring volume in the year of in the year of 2020, and when I will compare with the global volume, you will be surprised. The global factoring volume in the calendar year 2020 was almost $3.35 trillion, which is huge. And when I say that the Indian volume is merely only 3.5 billion dollars. So when I see that $400 billion exports, and when I see that 2020 the factoring volume in India is only $3.5 billion, which is not even 0.13% of the overall GDP in terms of overall penetration of factoring business. So I see that, keeping in mind that regulations, positive side of the regulations, and and we are also witnessing some of those MNCs are knocking the door in this business. Of course, my only hope is that these MNCs or whomsoever wants to start such businesses how to be regulated one. That's the only because to ensure that proper momentum goes on in this particular business. So sky's the limit to grow from here onwards. Undoubtedly, yes, for a factoring business, because unfortunately there is lack of awareness for this particular products, for this such particular structures. But now I think it's a high time that, since the now regulator is also pushing new, the new environment is very much conducive for factoring business. So I see that tremendous growth way forward is going to be only factoring and the supply chain finance. And I'm sure market leaders like India Factoring will always benefit if such kind of evolvement which is happening from the regulator sides also.
Absolutely, Abhijit. I think we being in this business for a very long time now, and with the experience that we carry with ourselves, and with the technology and the government recognizing the potential of this particular segment, definitely there will be huge growth that we can see in future. I really like to thank you so much for being part of this show, and I would request the viewers to have their questions shared on the chat box. And if we're not, because we have really run out of the time, and if not able to respond to it in this chat talk show, definitely we'll respond you back. Very happy to take more questions. I'll be happy if we get more questions, and we will get back to you. So Abhijit, thank you very much for being part of this talk show, and having shared your thoughts, your views, and the future that we can see for India Factoring. Thank you so much, Abhijit. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure, Vinod. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
So thank you, viewers. This show has been organized to create awareness and familiarization around the factoring product as a working capital solution to customers, especially the working capital seeking SME, MSME customers. So hope this has created more awareness, and definitely it will make you explore this product to its potential. Thank you very much. And India Factoring will always be there to be part of sharing the knowledge and information about the product. Thank you once again. Thank you very much for being part of this show.